Good morning. This is Mona, and this is my morning view. It said it had to reconnect. Reconnect. All right. Fall edition. If you can see the tree behind me. Fall edition 2025. It is Memory Monday. Memory Monday. So, hack up a lung. Not quite, but let me put that down. Oh, good morning. Good morning. What am I going to talk about today on Memory Monday? So I'm just looking around, sipping on my tea and looking at the leaves that have fallen to the ground already. There is plenty on the ground. And I was just sitting there thinking about fall. I love fall. Autumn, if you will. Autumn. It's the only season that has two names, right? Summer doesn't have two names. Winter doesn't have two names. Spring doesn't have two names. Fall, autumn. Two names. One day we will be given a name. God will call us by a new name. But yeah, a stone with our name written on it. After the other stone with our name written on it. Ooh, okay. You know, the fall reminds me of the fall holidays. So, yes, there's Halloween. Some people celebrate Halloween, some do not. I won't get into the debate of it. But those little tombstones that everybody puts around their house, you know, little fake tombstones. That's what I just pictured in my head when I said, after the stone with our name written on it. That's what I pictured in my head right there. Tombstones. Fall is not dying. It's preparing us for the winter, which, by the way, is not death. But fall is preparing. It's shedding its leaves in order to conserve the energy it needs for winter. It's conserving it. It's not all about the flamboyancy of spring. Spring comes in and it's like, look at me, I'm new, I'm youthful, I'm beautiful. And yet fall has a beauty all its own. I don't think that gives it justice. It is really red when I'm looking at it there, but when I look at here, it looks kind of pinky. So I just thought about fall as a kid. I was like, you know, it was the fall holidays that were the most peaceful around my home growing up. The colors were not as vibrant living in Northern California as they are here on the East Coast. The East Coast is very vibrant colors, beautiful reds, purples, oranges, yellows. And in California, we had a lot of oak, and we pretty much had this yellow. It was green, then it was yellow, then it was brown. That was it. And then you had your evergreens, which were green. So you had green and yellow, and then brown in the autumn. So it wasn't all the colors. I appreciated the colors more when I moved away from California for that season. So it wasn't the colors that drew me. So I'm sitting there thinking about it while I'm talking to you. That's when it came to my brain. It's because the holidays in the fall were the most peaceful in our home. Not that it was a peaceful time that whole season. No, we're not saying the whole season was peaceful, but the holidays themselves were. When people look back at their families of origin, when they think about the stuff from the past, what emotions does it evoke? Does it evoke good times? You know, if you ask somebody what their favorite holiday is, a lot of them will say Christmas. And it'll be, well, why is Christmas the best holiday? And besides the birth of Christ, the relationship to Christmas, a lot of them it's because the family was all together, and I remember the smells, and we used to go down the stairs. We didn't have stairs in my house; it was a ranch. This is the stories I get from people. We go down the stairs, and the presents roll under the tree, and we're all anticipating excitement about getting stuff, and whatever the reasoning is for their specified holiday. And for the longest time, I was like, yeah, the only holiday I really liked was Thanksgiving. For one, Thanksgiving had a lot of food, and we normally didn't have a lot of food. On the day-to-day, okay, I'm going to give you a little insight. Take off the mask, if you will. I don't have such a mask because it doesn't bother me. We had well-proportioned amounts of food. I had to eat everything on my plate. And some people will go, well, that's going to lead you to obesity, and that's a possibility. When I became an adult and my children didn't eat what was on their plate, I ate what was left on their plate, because you don't waste food. And yes, I became a little overweight, but most of it was autoimmune, and I just didn't know it. So, our portions were such that we got 1 tablespoon of vegetables. So say Monday was peas, and Tuesday was beans, and Wednesday was corn. I don't know what day was what. And Thursday was carrots. We got 1 tablespoon of vegetables on our plate. My mother would save the 1 spoon that was left over, and on Friday we would have mixed vegetables, because we had all these other vegetables that we had eaten all week long, and that became our spoonful on Friday. See, my husband, he has this memory of Fridays, kitchen's closed, they're getting pizza or everybody fends for themselves. Ours was, we're getting mixed vegetables. Okay, so maybe my memory is not, as, maybe my siblings have a different memory of that. But that's how I recall it. That's how I recall it. Because a lot of times what happens in our minds is we remember a scenario. And as we remember the scenario, sometimes we build stories around it. maybe that happened a couple of times. And so it became this every week. And it's like, it may not have been every week, but it's the story that I have in my mind about it. See, sometimes we can make stories that become our memories, and sometimes we can change our memories. But I wouldn't change our memories unless the change is for the better, for your health and well-being. Because our memories are there for a reason. They were there at one point to protect us. They're there to help us. So, some of those Christmas holiday memories that people have of how wonderful it was, and maybe they eluded the family arguments. Maybe they skipped the part where, somebody had a little too much Christmas cheer. But for the most part, fall in our house was relatively peaceful. I remember the fall festivals that we had at the school. They would set up booths, little spaces where you could throw darts at balloons, or they would drop the fishing line behind the thing, and somebody behind the counter would put a little prize, a little fish, if you will, a little prize at the end of the fishing pole, and you reel it up, and that's what you got, You had tickets to give at the booth. I don't remember if the tickets cost anything. I have a feeling they didn't back then. But we weren't really involved in the money aspect of it. But I would think by 5th grade, I would have known whether they cost money to do this, or if this was just something that the PTA had gotten all together. And, it was basically those little prizes like Oriental Trading Company type of thing, right? Little tchotchke stuff, It wasn't those big, huge stuffed animals that you saw at the fair. No, it was just little trinkets, little things. But we had fun doing it, and that was the point of it. So I think everybody got a certain amount of tickets. They could go spend their tickets on whatever game they wanted, and, the prizes were basically the same. Everybody brought, well, not everybody, but a lot of people brought cakes to be there for the cakewalk. So we would have a cakewalk. And me and my brothers used to, we brought home some cake. Between me and my brothers, we would win some cake. And so we always had that, as we won the cakewalk, combined efforts, one way or the other, we're going to win. And then there was the costume party. Oh no, that was separate. Okay. Halloween was different than the fall festival. The fall festival was that fun, and it evoked community. People from the town came in. Well, the kids were there, and participated, and it was just a joyous time that I can remember. So the fall festival at school was awesome. It was held in the evening. It would get dark. And then there was Halloween, and we lived in a rural area, so trick-or-treating was not a thing. People didn't go trick-or-treating. But we would meet at the Grange Hall where they would have a Halloween party, and they would do the dunking of apples, and they would do all the Halloween games. The high school kids would set up a haunted house, and they would be the actors in the haunted house. And I couldn't wait until I was in high school so that I could be a participant in the haunted house part of it. You know, it was like, yeah, we're going to build the haunted house, and it's going to be the scariest one ever. Boo on these other guys. They don't make scary ones. Yeah. And so what happened was the haunted house was by the high school students, and we would go through, and everybody would get scared, and there'd be people crying, and I'd be laughing, going, this ain't scary. This ain't scary. So the year that I got to be in it, I was a semi-silent partner. I hid under a table in the dark. And as kids would go by, I would grab their leg and I would scream a blood-curdling scream, which caused fear and anticipation for the people outside waiting to come in. Devious, aren't I? All right, so. And then we would have the costume, the best costume. And I put in a lot of effort into making my costume every year. There was like one year where we had the bought plastic mask with the little, you know, cloth, silky cloth cover. I think I remember doing that once. I don't even know where we got the money for that, but we got it. Most of the times, we made our costumes what we had in our house at the time. So it wasn't a big expense because we had scraps of fabric. We had different things. So there was a couple of years that I felt I should have won. Came in second place because it was more a popularity contest. I still believe that. I still do. Those are those things in here that settle into our hearts and into our minds that it's like, and it sets up a precedence in our head that it's always a popularity contest, isn't it? Even on social media, it's all a popularity contest. So in my brain, that's what I have. And it self-sabotages. It causes me to blame everything on it's a popularity contest. And not that, hey, you screwed up and now you're getting all caught up in this web of your head and you're not moving forward. So some of those years that I felt like I should have won is when I came as the Headless Horseman, complete with jack-o'-lantern. The other one is when I came as a spider. I came as a Black Widow spider. I even had created a small little spider baby hanging from my arm. I must still have that somewhere. I don't know. I don't have very many things because vandals destroyed my parents' home after my father passed away and my mother had come out to live with me. And so there was a lot of things that I don't have anymore. And there's some things that it's kind of good that I don't have stuff. So I have enough stuff that I've collected. And that's another thing of clutter. Things when you've lost out on things. You didn't have things, and then the things you had were either stolen or destroyed, and so you tend to hold on to them tighter and tighter, and they become part of your identity. And you can't let them go because you feel like you're going to lose a part of yourself. So fall has a lot of reflective things that go in my mind. You know, from the fun things like the fall festival and the Halloween party at the Grange Hall, and then Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving, where it was a feast, a smorgasbord. And we ate till we couldn't eat anymore. And then we had leftovers for like a week. And it was just something that we never got to experience because our day-to-day, we were lucky to have enough. It reminded me of a time my brother came home from the activities bus. We had somebody at our house that had showed up while my mother was cooking dinner. And it was spaghetti. And we didn't get to eat because the company was there. And she didn't make enough for company. So there was just enough for the family. And we sat there listening to this person. And my brothers came home off the activities bus. And my older brother was so hungry. And he saw all this food. And so he's thinking, we've already eaten. We've eaten. She must have made extra because of this company. So he took the majority of the food and left a small portion for my other brother. And we hadn't eaten. It was funny, but it wasn't funny. Because we just didn't have mounds of food. We ate every day. I don't remember not eating. I do remember stories where there was no food in the house except for one bowl of oatmeal. And I was young, very young, too young to remember it. And my older sister had decided that the baby should have the food. So the rest of them did not eat. And they gave me the bowl of oatmeal. Sometimes we don't realize the sacrifices that other people have made for us. Sometimes you don't. And you take it for granted. So this fall, let it be a time of reflection before you let the leaves drop. Discarding the things that you don't need to conserve your strength. And in winter, things build up. All the stuff, all the energy getting pumped into you, waiting for that victorious spring. Just like Yom Kippur, that time of reflection. All right. Blessings, everybody. Have a great day. I will see you tomorrow for Tips Tuesday. And what is your favorite holiday? And how do you see autumn? How do you see fall? How is it that it stirs up anything in here? And reflect it with the Lord. Because just reflecting and not inviting Him into the reflection, it's just an exercise. But if He's part of it, it can be transformational. And letting go of those leaves can be life-saving. Blessings, everybody. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow. Oh, I forgot the commercial. Go to YouTube. Mona E. Harrison. Different than my Facebook profile. Mona E. Harrison. Go over there and subscribe. Like, share, comment. All the works. Both here and on YouTube. And if these tend to be a little long, you can fast forward them. You can put them on double speed over on YouTube. All right. Blessings, everybody. Have a great day.